Hello everybody, and welcome back to another short mini-series with Process Pat. Last week we talked about 3 core fundamental areas to make you a great product manager. And this week we're going to talk about 10 core competencies that will make you a great Scrum Master. Now you won't see these in any Agile manifesto, but these have been developed over my professional career as a Scrum Master, as an Enterprise Agile coach, as a consultant, and as a leader of Agile teams. I think that if you refine these skills, it will differentiate you in your ability to become the best possible Scrum Master that you can. Let's dig right into it. The first one, first and foremost, you see this everywhere. This is your number one responsibility, is to coach the team on Agile best practicing. Coaching is the reason why you are there. You are an expert in the framework that you are coaching about within that overall Agile umbrella. Frameworks like Scrum are easy to implement, extremely hard to master. That's why you are there. That's why coaches exist among any team, whether in the sports world or in our professional lives. So first one here is coaching. Refine those skill sets. Make sure that you're finding ways to continually improve your team from day to day, week to week, sprint to sprint, PI to PI. And you will see that the value that you're providing when you take a step back and look at all the things that the teams have improved on from your coaching, it will really make a difference and add value to your organization. Second thing here is to protect your team from outside distractions. This is a difficult skill set because you don't want to become a bottleneck for your team to receive important information or to communicate cross-functionally. But you want to make sure that your teams are focused on their sprint or PI objectives. And if they are constantly being interrupted, then there's a good chance that that's going to have an impact on their ability to deliver the PI objectives that they had committed to or that they were planning to deliver, which will have an overall net negative impact on your enterprise. Third, unblock the team. Again, this is probably one of the most important things that a good Scrum Master can do as well. Unblocking the team comes in many forms. If you are more technically focused, sometimes this is something that you will be able to do yourself. If you are not, sometimes you have to rely on other people. That's why when we get down to building relationships, these two kind of go hand in hand. But unblocking your team, keeping them moving along and reducing the amount of friction that they have from sprint to sprint will go a long way in their ability to actually complete the sprint goals that they have set out to obtain. The next is to create a team, a high-performing team at that. For those that have played sports, you've probably been part of a very special team. And there's no words that can really describe what that feels like. Everything just gels. From the people, the way you play, you know where people are going to be, you know how they're going to react. And you'll see some of the teams, even with reduced skill set, that the underdogs that people don't bet on, a lot of times those teams that are underdogs and end up winning, that's because they are a special team, they're a special unit, they gel, they jive, and they've just developed relationships amongst each other where they feel very trusting with one another. They're able to call each other out, ask the hard questions, and they're able, at the end of the day, just to get things done as they said that they were going to. So create a team, make it special. I know that this is professional and it's not sport in the sports world, but the same sort of concepts apply to an Agile team, and I think that this is incredibly important in developing a high-performing team. The next is to communicate. Communicate key dependencies and connect stakeholders. This can be the role of a lot of people on a Scrum team. The engineers certainly play a role in connecting and communicating key dependencies technically, but dependencies pop up everywhere, and the tools that we use day to day do a good job of mapping those dependencies out. So make sure that you are coming prepared, you understand where the dependencies are, you're plugged into what the product owner is planning for your team, and make sure that you are having conversations, facilitating conversations between the key stakeholders to make sure that you don't wind up with inter-sprint dependencies that become roadblocks for your team and make it nearly impossible to get the work done that your team had planned to do. Next is bridging gaps that may exist on your team. This is one of the coolest things about being a Scrum Master. All of us come from different backgrounds, some technically focused, some not technically focused, and leverage that experience, that life skill set, to fill the gaps that may exist on your team. If you come from a QA background and your team currently is missing a particular skill set, step up for a little bit and try to help them out so that they can complete the work on time and with high quality. If you come from, like me, I have a project management background. I'm able to connect stakeholders and make sure that the right conversations are happening. I can see the broader picture and make sure that at least my team is not going to become a team that is blocking some other team. Leverage your life experience, leverage the skill sets that you have so that you can make the biggest impact on your team, even if it's not explicitly stated in your role and responsibility as a Scrum Master. The next is to build relationships with key stakeholders and leadership. This is a skill set that can be difficult for some, but it is incredibly important in ensuring that your teams are able to deliver against their sprint goals, their PI goals, and their objectives. If you develop relationships by doing what you said you were going to do, by bending over backwards for those to help them out, you will see that that's reciprocal. And you will see that when your team is in trouble and you need something right away, a lot of times those favors that you have provided before and those relationships that you have built, others will start to bend over backwards for you as well to ensure that your team succeeds. These things aren't widely recognized day to day within operations of professional life, but they go an extremely long way, and they can be a difference maker for you and your team. Facilitating ceremonies. Again, this is a core area, a core skill set for you as a Scrum Master, as an Agile coach, really for anybody in the Agile world. The better that you can facilitate, the more value you're going to add to your teams to make sure that they are getting to the right answers that will propel your team forward. You don't want this to be your only skill set, and I find that too many Scrum Masters become glorified meeting facilitators, and we need to do away with those. I'm sorry. We need well-rounded Scrum Masters that can add value in many different ways to the teams and the organizations that they support. This is a very key skill to have. It's extremely important. It cannot be your only skill set. Represent your team at cross-functional meetings, especially if you're a scaled shop. If you need to scale Scrum and you have multiple teams across different value streams or entities or groups, you as a Scrum Master need to come prepared. You have your daily Scrum every single day. You're understanding how the team is progressing. You know what needs to be escalated. You know where the blockers are. So make sure that when you get into a ceremony, maybe it might be something like a Scrum of Scrums, that you are able to speak on behalf of your team so that, again, you're able to filter those distractions to your team directly. You can handle those, you can work those through, and you can make sure that they're getting resolved so that your team doesn't have to get involved. So represent your team at cross-functional meetings. When you do need to pull somebody in because maybe you're unable to answer the question or to speak to the specifics of the technicalities, bring them in. But for the most part, make sure you're doing your research and make sure that you understand what's happening with your team and you're bringing that and coming prepared for those specific meetings. So quickly, let's recap real quick. First, coach the team on Agile best practice. Second, protect the team from outside distractions. Third, unblock the team so that they can focus on sprint goals. 4, create a team first, and then strive for high performance. 5, communicate key dependencies and connect stakeholders. 6, bridge gaps where they may exist on your team. 7, build relationships with stakeholders and leadership. 8, facilitate ceremonies, keep them interesting and valuable. Don't become a glorified meeting facilitator. Number 9, represent your team at cross-functional meetings. And I left one out. This is the most important. Have fun while doing it and have a positive impact on your culture. Everybody that comes to work, and if they are having fun, you're going to see that the impact that you have and that your team has is just going to continue to compound day after day, week after week, sprint after sprint. Make sure that you are finding ways to inject fun. Make it exciting to come to work in the morning. Make it exciting to join these meetings that are repetitive, and so that teams can become consistent. Make it fun. Change things up. Have a laugh. Get to know your team. Develop those relationships. You'll see at the end of the day, if you're able to develop these 10 core competencies, your teams are going to do very well. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your time today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and make sure that you are liking and subscribing. Thanks, everybody.